As a parent, what you really want is confidence knowing that your personal finances are stable, predictable, and not quietly holding your family back. Making money has never been a problem for you, but keeping it has felt harder than it should. It's not because you're bad with money, it's because there's no money system running in the background. You want to be able to model good financial habits for your kids, not just hope that they figure it out one day. In this training, I'm going to walk you through the exact personal finance operating system that I use with families just like yours, built around the income you already have, so your money can feel more stable, intentional, and easier to manage. This is an 11-step process I've refined over years in corporate finance and helping families like yours build real momentum in their net worth. Each step matters, the order matters. Skip one and the system will break, and follow them, the results will compound. Let's jump in. Welcome into the personal finance operating system. This is the first step. And yes, it's actually step 0, not step 1. So you might be asking, why is this step 0? Well, in life, we've normalized the idea of things like getting our vitals checked when we go to the doctor, maybe taking a before picture for a fitness program, and having our home inspected before we ever think to buy it, right? These are all baseline checks that we normalize as a society, but we've almost never normalized the idea of getting a baseline check for our personal finances. We all want the outcome, but in order to get there, we need to understand where we currently are so that we know what we need to be thinking about and working on as we go through these next steps. Okay, so that's the whole point of not only this step, but the entire operating system. So let's just dive right into the questions here. There's 6. It's very simple. This should take you less than 3 minutes, okay? Question number 1, how clear are you about where your money is going each month? 1, not clear at all. 10, extremely clear. 2, how would you describe your current money system? 1, if you feel like you don't really have a system, and 2, you have a fully dialed and automated system. 3, how much financial stress do you currently feel in a typical month? 1, constant stress. 10, almost no stress or no stress. Number 4, how aligned does your money feel with what matters most to you? 1, meaning it's not aligned to the things that matter the most, or you're not even sure what matters the most to you. And 10 is yes, everything is fully aligned. Number 5, how confident are you that you'll hit your biggest financial goal in the next 12 months? Not confident or extremely confident. And number 6, if you could make one meaningful improvement to your finances in the next 30 days, what would you want it to be? Right? So this is just a quick check. It didn't take me very long to read it. You might take a couple seconds to think about each one. But in reality, your answers are not good. Your answers are not bad. They just are. And this is just understanding where we're at. And see, this step's already over. Let's just jump over to step 1. Welcome into step 1 of the personal finance operating system. This is the 3-month look back. And in this resource, we're actually going to be using for step 1, step 2, and step 3. So it's a very important resource. And the whole goal around the 3-month look back is in order to go forward, sometimes the best thing that we need to do first is to go back. We need to look back. And I can already feel some of your stomachs getting uneasy about the idea of looking back at our finances, opening up the can of worms, right? But just know that completing this step alone, you're going to be ahead of 50% of the people. Why? Because it's just an uncomfortable step to look back. There's shame that's brought in, there's judgment, but it actually is just, we're just trying to gather information. We're trying to recognize patterns that have maybe occurred. Okay, so why 3 months? Why not 1 month? Why not a year? I found that over the last year plus helping a bunch of people in this process, 3 months is kind of the sweet spot, where 1 month is definitely not enough data. There's too many swings month to month, right? And if you think about your own life, your own personal finances, there's things that pop up this month that won't occur in the next month and vice versa, right? 1 year is pretty heavy. Now, I will say, if for the psychos out there, if you want to do a year, then you do a year. The more data, the better. But 3 months is really a great sweet spot. It gives you a lot of context into at least what's happening. And by the way, this doesn't have to tell you everything about your personal finances. We're just trying to get started. We're just trying to move in the correct direction for the next few steps. So after you've done step 0, the baseline, we're taking that information, those thoughts, and we're just sort of moving to the next logical step, which is now we're just getting a little more data. So how this is going to work is we're going to look at however we've spent money. So look at bank statements, look at credit cards. If you're a 100% cash user, this is going to be pretty tough. But for most people, you'll just be able to use your bank, your credit card. And the best part about looking back in finances is that all of your transactions are timestamped. So the date, the amount, sometimes it's already categorized into what it is, right? It's pretty great. So you can look back, think about it in like other realms of life. Like we don't really timestamp stuff with, I don't know, friendships, relationships, health and fitness. Like we don't really timestamp any of that. So looking back can be tough, but it's such a benefit that we were able to do this in our finances. And really there's two ways to do this. There's the manual way and there's the automated way now that we have, tools like AI and everything like that. So first we're going to go over like the tools and the AI. And if you're not comfortable with that, that's totally fine. We'll talk about the manual way closer to the end of this. So once you've gathered all the data from your financial institutions, this could be either getting statements of each month, or if your financial institution allows, you can do custom date ranges, right? So you can go, like in this case, you can go October 1st through the end of December, right? As a custom date range and just get one file, either a PDF or a spreadsheet version. I think the spreadsheet version is going to be a little easier for what we're doing here, but just get what you can. Again, we're not trying to be perfect here. We're just trying to take small incremental steps forward. So get that information and then go over to your favorite AI of choice. I use ChatGPT. It doesn't really matter. I've created this prompt. I've actually tested it out a bunch of times working with people and just kind of on my own in order to take the data, take our financial transactions and give it some sort of output that would then fit into this file, which we're going to talk about in a second. First and foremost, the most important thing is absolutely do not give your AI any personal information like a bank account or anything that you don't want it to have. Don't copy and paste it into here. Okay, so we don't really know what they're using this for, where it goes. So if you're comfortable using AI, I would just do like the transactional lines. It's like, okay, October 1st, I spent this amount for this thing, blah, 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 right? Just that information. So you might need to tweak around your file a little bit to make sure that you're not sending it any private information. So basically here's the prompt. I've already done this in a chat, so I don't waste a lot of your time, but basically it's saying, please take these list of transactions from my bank account or credit card. You can customize this to either say bank account, credit cards, you can remove that, and organize them into a simple table with the following headers. So date is basically this. So basically date with this format, the month, the amount, the category, and then a brief description. I say 1 to 5 words describing the transaction. And that's more for you. You don't really need it for this process, but that way when it spits out a bunch of stuff, you can just see like boom, 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 boom. And we're going to look through that in a second. Provide a table for my income, so anything increasing the money in the account, and a separate table for my expenses, anything reducing the money in my account. I'm doing a 3-month look back, so it's important that these are separated. And the reason why I'm telling it to separate it is I really think it's going to clear up the data. You don't want to have expenses and income in the same table. The 3-month look back is just for our expenses. We're also doing a kind of a look back for our income as well, but the whole point of the 3-month look back is really just for the expenses. Make sure the expenses show as a positive number for this exercise. That's going to help again in the next part of this process. For the category, do not give me multiple categories on any line item. It is your job to narrow it down to one category. Before I share the transactions, please confirm you understand. This is an important part here. So before you even copy and paste anything, make sure that you add this kind of context in so it gives you back like, hey, here's what I'm going to do. And the multiple categories thing, I've really struggled with this, trying to figure out a way to have AI not suck with this. In my experience, what I found is you'll do a transaction and the AI just doesn't know what it is. It'll say like gas/convenience or restaurant/bar. And then there's all these different variations. It's like restaurant/lounge. And it's like you have all these different variations. We don't want that. At the end of the day, we should probably have like less than 20 different categories. And as you go along, we can like add more to these, but I just think just to get started, we don't want to overwhelm ourselves, okay? So then it came back and it said, okay, yeah, here I understand. Here's what I'm going to do. Great, blah, blah, blah. So just kind of read through it, make sure it understands. If not, just kind of really try to nudge it in the direction that we want it to go. Hey guys, real quick, if you're liking this, each of the 11 steps in the operating system has their own unique resource, and they can all be downloaded for free in my personal finance community down below this video. It's called Dollar Discipline University. So if that interests you, come check it out. If not, just keep enjoying it and keep building that operating system. So here we go. I just copied and pasted transactions. Okay, great. And now confirm, below is the organized 3-month look back, split cleanly into income and expenses, formatted exactly for this. As you can see, it's broken out income, money in an account, and then money out. And again, this is kind of what we care about the most. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this whole table and just kind of make sure that this makes sense. So we have the date here, we have the month, we have the amount, We have the category, so we want to make sure again that this is all one category and there's no slashes or multiple categories. And then the description, right? Look how clean and easy this is to look through. And I'm just scrolling through to make sure that there's no slashes, there's no multiple accounts, and all the descriptions. It doesn't say like miscellaneous or anything like that. We want it to be very specific, and it's very specific in here, right? So you can see all these things, which is awesome. So it's like, okay, I think I'm ready to rock and roll here. So what you're going to do is just take this starting at the first like date or whatever and just kind of scroll down. Is it going to let me scroll? There we go. And we'll go all the way down, right? And then right click, copy. And then we're just going to paste this right into our 3-month look back file here. This file is set up to make it as easy as possible for you. You do not have to be a spreadsheet whiz. This is Google Sheets, but even if you're not good at Excel, it doesn't matter. I set this up so that anyone on any skill level can work through this. So we're just gonna right click and paste special values. And I'm not gonna do it here just because I've already stuff in here, but that's what you do, and it would populate in this list. And then what's happening over here is this is now a pivot table, which is grabbing all of this data and it's now summarizing it, right? So you might have multiple mortgage categories, but now it's giving us one mortgage line item and showing us each of the months, okay? So that way we don't have, you might have hundreds of transactions here after doing all of this for 3 months or even thousands, I don't know. But this pivot table will summarize all of it. And what's great is, and this could be for you manual users later on, you could add a category at any time or add a line item, right? So 12, okay. And now I'm just gonna add a category. I'm gonna call it hello, right? And now you see I just added it, and it's the pivot table smart enough to know to add this. And then I'm gonna say $1,000 for this hello category, and then boom, it's updated over here, right? And then if I delete it, it goes away. So this is a very just interactive pivot table. It captures everything to the moment. It captures like thousands of cells here in case, it takes that much bandwidth for you to go through all of your transactions. And by the way, a bit of a pro tip, if this is a pain in the ass to go to all of your accounts and get all the stuff, then maybe there's too many accounts. Okay? And maybe that's one of the things that's like, oh, interesting. Like this was a pain in the ass to do. If I'm going to, try and get better with my personal finances going forward, maybe reducing the amount of accounts that I use is something that I can find beneficial. One way to troubleshoot this file, just to make sure that everything, came across okay and everything's ticking and tying, you can just click on column C. And what it's going to do, let me move my big fat head out of the way here. What it's going to do down on the bottom over here is it's going to summarize the column for you. And then you can go back to here and just kind of double check like, okay, is the total of the pivot table, so if we go to the grand total, 8,186, right? And the sum of this is 8,186. So this is a check that yes, I'm capturing all the data that I've entered here. The pivot table is doing its job. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to take this pivot table, once we've sort of confirmed like, okay, this seems reasonable, this seems good, we want to take all this information and put it into this 3-month look back expenses tab. So I want to take all the categories. So I'm going to copy. So I'm left clicking here, dragging down. And then if you right click, copy, and then we go to 3-month look back expenses and we just copy it into here. Okay. Then we go back to the expense transactions and we're going to take the 3 months. We're going to copy all of this data across. So make sure it's aligned with what you've copied already for the categories. And we're going to copy this here for the 3 months that we're looking at. Copy. And then we just simply paste values into here. Now what this has done, it's basically taken the pivot table and added it to the next step, which we're going to talk about in a second, but it's given us an average actual for all the 3 months. And this is where we're going to now pause on the number stuff and get into step 2. Welcome into step 2 of the personal finance operating system. This is the North Star goals. And what we just did was we just looked at our 3-month look back. We got all the data, right? And if you made it to this far in the process, congratulations, because literally 50% of people have fallen off already. So just know that you're making moves and you're very serious about trying to level up your personal finances, whatever that means for you. But the North Star goals is how I think about this is things that matter to us the most. So these could be life goals, they could be financial goals, they could be non-negotiables. So it's the things that we want to align our money to, right? And not just our money, but all of our resources like time and effort and sacrifices that we make. So what have we done so far? We've gotten our baseline with those 6 questions. We've gotten a little bit of data going back 3 months. We've understood some of the patterns, right, that have occurred just over the last 3 months. And now it's time to say, okay, what do I want to happen moving forward? Because at the end of the day, you're still watching this because there's some sort of transformation in your personal finances that you're after. So we have to keep building up the foundations. We have to understand where we are, what has been happening, and now we want to know what we want to start doing going forward. And I think this step is really important to understand that this is not just about financial goals. This is absolutely not just financial goals, because I found that when I've asked people this, they list out a bunch of financial goals, which is great. And a lot of them are like, things about saving money and growing money and maybe paying off debt or whatever. And that's great. The reason why we need to have a whole mix of these things, life goals, financial goals, non-negotiables, is because we need to be able to wrap our why around things that truly matter to us, right? Because if we just say, yeah, it's really important that I save X amount of dollars every month and X amount of dollars every year, it's like, well, why? It's like, oh, well, because I want, time freedom with my family, my spouse and kids or whatever. And it's like, okay, so it's really like so your spouse and kids then are a life goal of yours. There's something in there for that. So inside of the 3-month look back worksheet, there's a tab, North Star Goals, down here. And it's very simple, okay? I have 10 areas here. You could do less, you could do more, but just understand that what we're trying to do here is list out the things that matter to us the most. And then anything not on that list, we're giving ourselves permission to kind of trim the fat around. That's the trade-off that we're going to have to make in order to find additional money in our finances every single month to be able to make this financial transformation a reality. So the goals that you want to reach is currently in the finances that you already have, the income that you already make. We just need to unlock it, right? So you don't have to get a side hustle or sell that weird thing in your basement on eBay to make a few extra dollars. I mean, sure, those things are great, but at the end of the day, like, the money already exists. Now, would it be beneficial to increase your income? Yeah, of course, right? That's always beneficial. But for right now, it's there and we have to find it. We need to get extra dollars from our finances and apply it to our goals. So if you're watching this, you want to increase your net worth. You want to grow your money. That could be a North Star goal. Now that's kind of vague, but you get the idea. I'm just kind of going to go through some examples. You might want to, I don't know, maybe you have kids. I have 2 kids, so it's like kids activities, right? A non-negotiable, funny story. So I've worked with a bunch of people and I've gone through this process with everyone. And there's this one story that stands out for one of his non-negotiables. And so, I tell him, hey, do the North Star goal, come back with this list. The next call, we'll kind of chat about it. And on his list, it said expensive haircuts. So I was like, I definitely need to ask about this, right? And the way he was explaining it, he's like, hey, my family has gone to this guy over the last 2 decades or whatever to get their haircuts. So we all go there. This guy's basically family at this point. And while his haircuts are crazy expensive for the norm of what haircuts kind of should cost or whatever, he's like, it's just a non-negotiable for me. This guy's family. And it got to the point where this guy was telling me this and he was almost defending the decision to have it on the list. I would think he's crazy or something, right? So put expensive haircuts on the list. Guys, this is your list. This isn't my list or anyone else's list. Imagine if I sat here and I said, here are the things that you need to prioritize. You're not going to listen to me. You're going to listen to yourself, right? But just know the more things we put on here, the less wiggle room we're going to be able to have to kind of trim the fat, right? So if you put everything in your life on here, everything, all the financial goals, all the life goals, everything that you're currently doing in your life, it's going to be hard to really find any areas to kind of squeeze out, because at the end of the day, this is all just about trade-offs. So, okay, here's what I've been doing with our money. That was the 3-month look back. And now here's what I want to start doing with my money, my other resources, time, effort, sacrifices, etc. So let's say it's these things. Now it's, okay, why is this important to you? It's like, well, you could say safety net or time freedom here. Kids is most important in my life. So it's like, I want to keep them busy. I want to keep them happy. I want to give them new experiences, right? You could write all these things, expensive haircuts. It's like, barber is family, don't care how much he charges, right? The why has to be strong enough to be able to keep going. And a variety of things in your North Star goal will help you stay forward. Again, I love the idea of financial goals, but I just know that only having financial goals is going to be hard to just keep showing up every single day. Someone else that I've recently spoken to said buying a coffee every morning. Now, most of the internet would be like, oh my God, buying a coffee every morning. If you multiply that times 365 days a year, you're spending thousands of dollars. And it's like, well, this is what this person cares about. And it means something to them to like go out, buy a coffee, maybe have some time to themselves. And the whole point of this is that we put money towards the things that we care about. I've said this probably 4 times in this video, right? But it's so important. That's how we move forward. Because if we keep funding the things that we care about and then not anything else, like we neglect everything else, that's how we're going to move forward. Because we're telling ourselves if it's not on this list, we care about it less than this stuff. And that means we're okay with reducing it or cutting it out completely financially so that we have extra dollars to put towards these things. I hope that makes a ton of sense. It's going to make even more sense when we get into step 3. Welcome into step 3 of the personal finance operating system. This is where we are realigning our money and creating our first budget. Before we get into it, the only 3 words I want you to think of through this step are more, less, same. That's it. That's all we want to think about. So we're back in our 3-month look back exercise here. We've just done our North Star goals here. And now what we want to do is take the data of looking back 3 months, the insights of where we want to start applying our resources, our money, our time, our effort, our sacrifices, right? And then merge those two, put more resources towards the thing we care about, less resources towards the things we care about less. So it's kind of like the Goldilocks and the 3 bears here, right? Where it's like, she went to the first one, the porridge was too hot, the porridge was too cold, and then the porridge was just right. That's how we want to think about through these categories. We've already laid out the breakout of how we have spent our money. Now, your list is probably going to have way more. I just did this for a quick example, right? But let's say, for example, we have all these, and you're like, oh, you know what? Fitness is here. I actually forgot to add it to my North Star goal list. So we can go back here and change it at any time, right? Fitness, like, I want to live longer. That's a pretty strong why. Okay, of these things, where do I need to be applying more resources to? Where do I need to be applying less resources to? And where do I need to be applying about the same amount of resources? And you'll kind of get a good feel for this as you go through this. Let me know, by the way, if you are someone that has made it this far, what category really surprised you and how much money you're actually spending towards it? What category really surprised you that you're like, oh, I'm not even putting enough attention to this with my money? Let's just kind of go through these categories. Fitness. Oh man, I just put fitness as one of my North Star goals, but I'm only spending $16 a month in fitness. Like, what am I doing? So instead of that, what we would want to do is, okay, well, this is like pretty important to me. It's on my North Star goal list. I'm only doing $16 a month. Like, maybe I should sign up for a consistent gym membership, get, I don't know, the supplements, the whatever, right? So let's say our new budget amount is $100, and that's what we're going to be doing in this column. We're going to be taking how we've spent money, think through our North Star goal list, and now just create a new budget. This doesn't have to be perfect because every month is a new opportunity to change and adjust and sort of revamp our plan. So it doesn't have to be perfect. This could just be for month 1. We try out, we see how it works, great. Over here, it's kind of the same idea with the North Star goals and the why. It's like, what action will you take to make this happen? And this is really important because anyone could just say like, oh, I want to spend more or I want to spend less here. But if you don't have anything attached to it, it's not going to last very long. You're going to fall off and we're just going to be back to square one. So we have to be able to not only align where we want our resources to go, but also understand that we need to know why we're doing it. Because again, life is so busy, guys, that everyone's so busy, things just fall off and we forget, and then we're back in the same loop. So we really need to stay focused on why we want to do these things. So what action you could like, okay, sign up for gym, buy supplements, I don't know. What do people do when they're trying to get jacked and ripped? So this, the $100, we would consider that to be a more, right? That's obviously more than our average actual. So as I'm going through these, what you're going to see is this column here, monthly savings. Red Red or green, it doesn't mean bad or good. By the way, it's just a visual to show you. So red just means that we're in our new budget, we're now spending more than our average of the last 3 months. Green will mean that we're spending less. Gas, it's like, okay, this is probably, this seems pretty reasonable. So we'll just say like $75 here. This is kind of a same, right? But we're just rounding. So I would say that this is a same. Groceries, okay, well, this is probably a good average here. So we'll just say like $225. Okay, great. That's kind of a same. Mortgage, okay, this is one of our fixed expenses, so we know that that's not going to change. That's the same. Restaurant, it's like, ooh, well, you know what? Me going out to dinner on a regular basis or having food delivered to my home in 3 clicks, the convenience of that isn't a North Star goal. So let's just say, like, I don't know, let's just say $50. So this would be a less, right? Because it was like, nah, this isn't aligned with anything at all. Subscriptions, okay, this is a month over month thing. It's probably a fixed expense, so it's $45. And then utilities, okay, same thing. It's probably about $160 a month. So you can go through all these and be like, okay, this is great. I have my more, I have my less, I have my same, and we're sort of connecting everything here. Anything that's more or less, I would put a Y action. So I would say for like restaurant, it's like, I'd rather use this money for saving / growing / debt, right? Or whatever. Or it could be like, I'm going to spend less in restaurants so that I can pay for my fitness membership, right? And it's like, boom, you just found a fitness membership and your finances are ready. It's pretty sick. Now at the bottom of this, we'll see if my big fat head's in the way. No. So at the bottom of this, what it's doing is it's looking at our new total budget amount here just to give you a little visual, but then it's also saying, here's your projected monthly savings of basically how much money you're finding in your finances by doing it this way. Now, we have the monthly and then the annualized amount here. You could look at this number and be like, you know what? I'm really proud about that. Let's just kind of move forward and go with it. Or you could be like, well, I'm not really proud of it. Let's see what we can do to sort of improve that. Then we just go back up to the top and we reanalyze where have we been spending our money, what's important to us, and we keep shifting it around. Again, you're going to have a lot more categories than this. I would like to think that as you're going through this, you're going to find way more than $73. The people that have gone through this, I would say it averages between $150 and I mean, someone found almost $1,000 a month that they're like, holy crap, right? That's why this is so valuable. But it all depends on, your income, your lifestyle, like where you live. Like there's a lot of factors in here. So I'm not going to make a promise as to how much you're going to find. But this is really the outcome of these first couple steps, is just like trying to reorganize our money with the money that we already make to be able to do the thing, right? So if you just think about it like we just talked about, I just paid for a fitness membership. We'll call it an expensive fitness membership. Let's say it's like $80 a month or something from less restaurants. That's pretty cool. So like you just funded your fitness membership by spending less money somewhere else. And that's how I want you to reframe this. It's like, it's not that you're cutting or restricting or any of this other stuff, but it's how do I realign the money that I'm spending to things that actually matter? Right? So if restaurants isn't on North Star goal list, we can't care that we're reducing it because it's going towards a more valuable thing according to us, right? And who else really matters? No one. It's our list. Yeah, keep kind of cycling through this process, guys. And until you get to a number down here where you're like, okay, this is great. I'm feeling good about this. And remember, this is obviously not money that you've found or saved yet. This is just kind of a projected number. When you actually get into the month, it'll probably fluctuate a little bit. And as you're going through each month, again, it's a new opportunity to improve, right? So that was step 3. Let me know what you guys are thinking so far, and let's jump into step number 4. All right, welcome into step 4 of the Personal Finance Operating System. This is the monthly money overview, and brace yourself, guys, because I really didn't want to have to say this word. Brace yourselves. It's a budget. This is where we budget. Okay. And the reason why I'm being silly about that is because a lot of people cringe at the idea of budget because they think, based on what other people say and how it's phrased, is that a budget is a restrictionary action. It's like, oh man, I feel like I'm living paycheck to paycheck, so I have to go on a budget, right? But it's not about that at all. It's actually just showing us what we can do with our money, how we can be more intentional with the things, right? So far, we've gotten our baseline. We've seen where our money has been going. We've measured how we want to start spending our not only our money, but all of our resources. And then we've realigned what's been happening to what we want to start happening. And now we actually we have to start taking action on some of those things. So you've gone through all this. It's the beginning of the next month. And now we need to fill out our budget based on our new realigned budget that we just did in the last step. And then we have to start filling in the actuals. Okay, so this is the summary here. And what I really like is that I have multiple tabs. So I'm on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So you go all the way through. It's already set up for you. I have some good news and I have some bad news. I usually like to share the bad news first. So the bad news is all that effort into this 3-month look back file, right? Where we painstakingly spent the amount of time to go through, and maybe it wasn't painful because we used AI, but if you did it manually, it might have felt painful. We're never going to be using this file again. That's the bad news. The good news is we're never going to be using this file again, right? Because we're good riddance with it, right? We do need to extract some of the information from it for our new budget, but essentially we're not going to be ever having to do that 3-month look back process again, unless we fall off the wagon for a few months and we need to kind of get back on the horse and figure it out. We might have to look back and kind of see how things have progressed. But in theory, this resource is now complete. And when you open this resource, the intentional thing that I did was I put North Star Goals as the first tab here. And that's because as we progress in life and we have different things happening, these North Star Goals are going to change all the time. Like when I think back to when I was a single person and then in a relationship with my now wife, and now, one kid and then 2 kids, it's like everything just changes all the time. I want us to open this file and just see this North Star goal list first every single time. That way it's just like a quick reminder. It's like, okay, why am I doing this? Because we could be doing easier things with our time, right? We could be poking on Netflix. We could be, I don't know, doing these things that we like or whatever, whatever your things are. But it's like, why am I doing this? Oh, right, because of these things. And it's so important to me, right? So what I want you to do is maybe just go to the 3-month look back tab. You could copy your North Star goal list right into here, okay? And that way it's here for you to see. And then as you're going through this, maybe month over month, it's like, ooh, are these things still important to me? If it's yes, keep it. If it's not, maybe reevaluate. Maybe try to trade it with something else, right? This whole process is just about trade-offs, because we can't have it all. Like even the richest people in the world, they don't have everything that they want because they still have to figure out how to trade and get to the things that they want to get to. So that's the game here. And also we're going to go to our 3-month look back. And the idea here is to now, okay, we have the category and we have the budget amount. So we're going to just simply take all this information, and you could copy it or you could put it in its correct category. And what I mean by that is this. Let me explain how this file works, because I think that's going to be the best way to kind of move forward here. So this is a budget. I know I hate that I had to say that. And what this file is doing is it's using a strategy called zero-based budgeting. And what this means is that every dollar that comes in, we already have an idea of where it's going to go in the month, which is pretty great. We're planning. So let's say in your household, it's you and maybe your significant other. Let's say you guys both make $2,500 a paycheck. You can see some stuff shifting around already, like some numbers changing. We're going to go through all of it, don't worry. But what we want to do is add our expected income to this file. And what this is now this is like our budget. What we're expected to make is now our budget. We are not allowed to spend more than what we think we're going to make. Right? It's pretty simple. And the idea is to spend, if we make $10,000 in a month, the idea is to spend $10,000 in a month. And no, I don't mean on frivolous things that aren't on our North Star goal list. It's, okay, what's on our North Star goal list? What are the things that we need to survive? So like for most people, utilities isn't probably on their North Star goal list, but it's like, well, I kind of need electricity. I need, water. I need all, we need all this stuff. So that's not a North Star goal list, but it's also a need that we need to do. We need to eat. Again, we're going through the 3-month look back process to be able to find extra money in our finances that already exist with the income that we have. And then how do we apply that money towards things that matter to us the most? So as we enter our expected income here, our total budget is $10,000. You'll see that these are now also listed at $10,000. This section here is remaining to budget, meaning this is going to tell us exactly how much money we have left to budget. So in our example, we had a $2,000 mortgage, right? So if I enter a budget of $2,000 for the mortgage, this is going to go down, right? Because it's saying, hey, now you have $8,000 to allocate. And the way I like to think about budgets or like our wallets in this zero-based budgeting strategy is, let's think about you going to some sort of event or a concert, right? I'm sure you've been to some sort of arena for a sports thing, whatever. We don't just pile in the door and sit wherever we want, right? We come with a ticket and the person shows us where to go, right? That's what's happening with our money. So let's say you have a stadium that fills 10,000 people. Each one of those 10,000 people has their own ticket. So before they even come in the door, they know that J134 is over here and it's in the nosebleeds, right? And then like section 101A, it's like the prime area of where you want to be seated. It's the front row to see Tay Swift, right? That's how we want to think about our money. It's like, where is the money going? Who are the VIPs? Who's the nosebleeds? Okay. And every dollar that comes into your bank account every single month, you should know where it sits in your life. So hopefully that visual was helpful. This next section here, leftover money. This is basically saying, hey, you have $10,000 to spend in your month. If we stick with this mortgage example, we know that it's going to be $2,000. We've budgeted for $2,000. It's going to be $2,000. So we're just going to add $2,000 once the payment comes out. And then boom, we have our leftover money of $8,000. So as this updates, what it's doing is it's taking the totals of each of the sections for our budget and our actuals. So these sections are as follows. We have our fixed expenses. So things like your mortgage, maybe a cell phone, cable streaming, childcare, variable expenses. So things that we probably spend regularly, but fluctuate month over month. So things like groceries, gas, utilities. I have a bucket here for financial goals. So this could be like saving and growing money. So like emergency fund, child education, retirement, etc. And then I have a very specific category just for debt because in my opinion, and spoiler alert for the next step in the process, debt is the least efficient thing to do with our money for most people. That's why I like to call it out here as its own category. It's technically a financial goal, but I really like the idea of separating it out because I think once we stop paying money to other people, that's when net worth really explodes. And that's why you're still watching this video. It's why you clicked on the video to begin with. We want to start, increasing our net worth. So how do we do that? Well, we stop giving money to other people. Anyway, rant over. Actual spend is tied to leftover money. So this is saying how much did we actually spend? So let's say, for example, I don't know, just pick a random category. It doesn't matter. And I choose, we spent $10,000 in groceries that month. This is going to show us, hey, you spent $12,000 and your leftover money is negative $2,000. So in the context of these three sections, so remaining to budget, leftover money, and actual spend, red means, hey, there's, you either spent too much in this case or there's more to budget, right? So if I were to put in $8,000, so let me just clear this out and we'll get back to the $8,000, right? Of leftover money. If we spend $8,000 in groceries, now our leftover money is zero. We've spent $10,000 and the file loves it when you match up your budget to your spend, right? So even if you're $1 over, it's just going to say like, hey, you spent more than you should have this month. Same thing with remaining budget. So if we have a budget of $8,000 for our groceries, let's say, for example, we've budgeted everything. And to me, all of these three sections go hand in hand together. They're very important. The idea is to get all of them to green. We want to put all of our money towards all the stuff. And again, no, this does not mean frivolous spending. That's why there's financial goals over here. This is why there's paying off debt. So we want to budget for our financial goals. We want to budget for our debt. We want to budget for the things that we know about. We want to budget for our North Star goals and then go from there. Similar to the 3-month look back here of our transactions tab, right? You remember this tab where it was basically copy paste, right? You could do the same thing inside of this monthly money overview. There's a transactions tab and you'll see it's literally set up the same exact way. One more difference is I have a year column in here because the goal of this monthly money overview file or a budget is to do this year over year over year. So it's going to get confusing when you have multiple years of data and you have multiple Januaries in here. It's going to combine all the data. It's going to get very confusing, right? So let's just say, for example, I'm going to just take this data, right? So you would do the same process you did in the 3-month look back where you would go to your financial institutions, you'd get the data and just copy it into here using the AI prompt. And you just copy it into here, values. Okay, for these, I'm gonna move this because the category is not correct. And then the year is 2025. And we're just going to, and as you can see, as I'm doing this, like things are updating in this pivot table. Again, we have another pivot table, which is very cool. So it's going to categorize by the category. And then what we're going to do is just add it to our, we're in month 1 currently. And by the way, I've named these month 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. You can, like, if you're starting in, say, January, you can rename this to January. So you could just like click on this file, double click, and then just do January if you want. January 2025. Like, you can change it. I just do it because this resource is going to be for everyone, and everyone's going to be starting at different points. But yeah, back to this. And then so we take the category. It's like, oh, fitness in October is $50. Okay. So, health and fitness, actual $50 so far. Great. And you go through this. I'm not going to bore you. You guys know how to, enter data. So you just go through each category. You kind of decide, like, okay, what is this? Is this a fixed expense? Is this a variable expense? Is this a financial goal, or is this debt? And for fixed expenses, like, we should almost never have any variables. We should almost never have any change in the amount of dollars that we're spending each month. This is maybe where it could get a little complicated if you have, like, say, health and fitness. You have a reoccurring gym membership, but then you also have all the supplements or whatever that you buy, and that's the thing that's variable, but you still have one category where it's like health and fitness. So that would go under variable. But if it's just, mortgage hits once a month, your cell phone hits once a month, your childcare hits once a month or once a week. Trust me, I've got 2 kids in daycare. This is one of my larger expenses. It's crazy. Anyway, and then if we go to my favorite section of this file, it's the dashboard. And if charts like this sort of overwhelm you, just kind of let me walk you through this, because you don't have to, again, be an expert. It's just, I want to give you guys a visual impact. So as you enter data month over month over month, what this is doing is just automatically updating. And these are all interactive charts. So you could just kind of quickly glance into all these and see, like, especially in this, like, spending variable expenses, we could sort of see the breakout of how we've spent money year over year and just like where all of it's going. So I just threw in some random numbers, right? But it's showing, hey, groceries is 49%, utilities 16, other transportation 13, gifts, gas, and then we have health and fitness here. Same thing with income by month, just how much money have we made each month? And as you can see, I've only entered data for a couple months here. Budget versus actual. So the budget line is the lighter line and the actual is the darker line. So it's how much have we actually been spending? What's our budget? This is, again, just a visual cue to see, like, okay, what's actually going on, budget versus actual every month. How much money am I putting towards my financial goals every month? That's what this one is. How much money am I putting towards my debt payments every single month, right? And then what's the difference between the financial goals section and then the debt section? So this is just one of my favorite tools. And again, it updates in real time. So let's say, I stopped adding income in April for this example. So I'm just going to go to month 4 and I'm going to say $10,000. Okay. And we go back to the dashboard and now we see April in here. So it updates automatically, which is just so cool. And this is not for overwhelm or for, optimization. It's just visual aid to basically, like, sort of solidify the decisions that you're making and the choices, if it's working, what tweaks need to be made. That's all this is. There's no pressure or anything. It's just kind of like you could look at this like, oh my God, wait, what? Half my variable expenses are going to groceries? Like, maybe I should look at that, because kind of month over month, it's hard to exactly see what's going on. But when you zoom out, that's all this is here. We're just zooming out and we're just seeing, hey, what's actually going on under the hood here? Because when you're in the grind of, the month to month thing, you got all this life stuff, you got jobs and kids and obligations and all these things. It's really hard to kind of stay at the 10,000 foot level, because you're just like on the ground trying to do all the things. So anyway, I hope you found this resource and this dashboard tab very valuable. But now it's time to go on to step 5. All right, welcome into step 5 of the personal finance operating system. This is the debt payoff roadmap. And what we're looking at here is the debt payment calculator, which we'll dive into in a second. We also have a place to put our debt payments and then sort of a debt summary. So this file in this resource is pretty great, I think. And the good news is, if you do not have debt, I mean, less maybe like a mortgage, like if you have a mortgage but nothing else, you can just completely skip this step, which is very cool. Or if you have a mortgage and you still want to play around with this and look at it and put it through this, then I urge you to do that. But this is for, we'll call it the non-mortgage debt. Really, it's kind of what it's for. What's the goal of this debt payment calculator? This tab here is really just to kind of play around with different debt outcomes that we have. So in order to do that, we first have to enter all the data that we have. So we need to enter all of our debts over here. And you can be as descriptive as you want. You could be general. So as you can see, I was just pretty general with my examples, credit card 1, credit card 2, but you could put like Amex, Discover, Nissan, student loan, right? Whatever, however you want to do it, it doesn't matter. What is the current balance as of you entering this now? With the context of like, I have started entering all this data and this is my point forward with my debt where I'm going to start tracking. And the reason why I think this is so important is because in my own personal finances, my wife and I, when we paid off $43,000 of debt in just over a year, first of all, I wish I had this resource. The resource that we created was terrible, but it was still a resource. We sat on our couch for 5 minutes at the beginning of every month, and we'd go through and just strategize and think through how we're going to go through the month. So $43,000 of debt is a lot. And in total, we had, I think it was like 12 loans. So like my wife had some just in her name. I had some just in my name. We had some shared. It was just it was a disaster. It's looking back, it's like, it was so embarrassing. But the idea of just like sitting down and putting information in here and then tracking it month over month, again, at 5-10 minutes a month, guys, that's all it takes. Okay. So what is the current balance of each of the loans? What is the interest rate of each of the loans? What is the minimum payment of each of the loans? We've got $59,000 worth of debt. Our minimum payments are $600. So let's assume in this next section here, our monthly payment, let's just assume for right now that we want to continue just paying the minimum. We want to do $600. We want to be good little boys and girls and let's just pay the minimum and let's just... We don't want to put too much towards debt. We don't want to pay people more money, right? So let's just give them the minimum. Let's give them the bare minimum. Here's 2 strategies to think about. And this is the sort of the debt payment calculator portion of it. And this is where it gets pretty exciting. So before we get into the strategies, what it's doing down here is it's taking our initial information. So our creditor type, we have the original balance. So we already entered that. And now we're seeing some new information, interest paid, months to pay off, and then month paid off, right? So basically how much interest is going to be attached to each of these line items based on what we've entered up top. How many months in numbers is that going to take off? And then what's the date associated with that number, essentially? I think the challenge with debt in society is that someone could do this exercise and be like, oh, okay, I have $59,000 worth of debt. And that is a lot, right? That is a lot. But what we're not considering when we're saying I have $59,000 of debt is with the interest paid, we actually have like $157,000 of total debt because we're not considering the interest that's associated in paying this off. When we make a payment towards our debt, a very small portion of it actually goes to the balance here. Most of it goes to interest, right? Interest is such a killer when it comes to paying off debt. We all love the idea of compounding interest when it's in our favor. And then no one seems to be talking about compounding interest when it's happening against us, which is what's happening with debt. And that's why debt is one of the least efficient things that we can do with our money. I would much rather pay myself currently or my future self than paying someone else. I'd rather put my hard work money towards me and my family than someone else's family, right? And the calculator is going to rank everything based on a couple different strategies that we pick. So first, we could talk about the avalanche method. And the avalanche method is when the calculator is going to prioritize our largest interest rates first, all the way down to our lowest. So it's going to reorder the creditor type by how much interest is on it. So as you can see, credit card 2, so if we scroll up to the top again, credit card 2 has the highest interest rate. So as it'll be credit card 2, credit card 1, car loan, student loan, right? Let's see if that is it. Yeah, credit card 2, 1, car loan, student loan. That's the order that it does. And the benefit to the avalanche method is because interest is such a killer when it comes to paying off debt, this will likely be, well, it's not going to likely be, it's definitely going to be the best way to save more money in the future because we are attacking the largest interest rate, excuse me. And now if we look at the other strategy here, the snowball method, this strategy is in the calculator, it's going to rank our debts from smallest loan amount to largest loan amount. So basically re-ranking them from the smallest balance to the largest balance. And that's already down here. So we can see that it's doing that properly, right? And the benefit here is you're likely going to get the wins faster. So if we go back to the Avalanche, for example, it was going to take, 200 months to pay off the first one. And this is 187 months. And again, remember, we're just paying the minimum. So this is about to flip on its head real quick when I go through this example. So you can see here the money, it's not super significant, right? So the Snowball is $100,000 of interest paid, and Avalanche is 99. So it's like $1,000 difference, right? But if we're actually serious about paying off our debt, so I'm recording this, it's now 2026. So it's 22 years. This calculator is saying it's going to take me to pay off $59,000 of debt. And I don't know about you, but that's a long ass time, and I don't want it to take that long. So here's why those previous steps were so important, of getting our baseline, seeing where our money has been going, realizing where we want our money to start going, realigning it so that we put our resources towards the stuff that matters to us the most, start taking action every single month. And now, let's say you're paying off debt is one of your North Star goals, right? It's one of your financial goals. So how do we find all that money to be able to put towards it? And what I've really found is the magical number is $500 a month. I know maybe it sounds like a lot for you. Maybe it doesn't. But I think $500 is the magical month. So let's say instead of our monthly payment, we want to go crazy and add an extra $500 towards our debt. So instead of $600, I'm going to put $1,100 in this monthly payment. And what I want you to do as I hit enter is look down at the interest paid and the debt-free date and see how it changes. So remember, $99,000 of interest paid over the life of the loans, and February 2048. So basically 22 years. So I'm going to hit enter. And holy crap, guys, the interest went down $85,000 to $15,000, and we're saving, what is that, 17 years of our life. We're saving 17 years of stress. That's why the finding, I'm going to say $500, is so important, because imagine, like, what would you do with $85,000? 17 years. You know how long that is? That's how long it takes from someone to be born to, go through high school. That's a long ass time. If you've gone through this process so far and you're like, man, I didn't really put debt as one of my North Star goals, I would pause this video right now. I would go back to one of the previous steps, and I would absolutely put that as the North Star goal. How do we find more money to be able to make this thing happen? Because our net worth is not going to increase if we keep paying other people. Now, I think a lot of people think that it's sort of a weird opposite sort of a thing. It's like, well, I don't want to pay these people extra money right now. And it's like, well, in the long run, if you pay extra people now, the long run is that you're going to actually save way more money for yourself later on. So I totally get the idea of like, I don't want to give them more money. Like, screw those guys, right? But it's like, I don't know, we signed up for the debt, so it's our problem. So let's get out of it as soon as possible. That's the first thing that we should be thinking about when it comes to our net worth. It's like, how much money am I putting towards myself, and how much money am I putting towards other people? So once we've played around with that, and you can go through the Avalanche and the Snowball method here, you can kind of see that, okay, so with the Snowball method, the benefit here is it's going to be paid off. We're going to pay off the first one faster. So let's see if that's true. The Snowball, we're going to be paying off credit card one in 18 months. And our fastest loan in the Avalanche method is 24 months. So it's like, okay, 6 months, but that's still a half a year, right? It's pretty significant. And then the benefit of the Avalanche, what it was going to save you money. So in interest, it's $15,000. And with the Snowball, it's almost $20,000. So almost $5,000 in savings. It's like, okay, that's pretty significant. So each one are pretty significant, and you just have to decide which one matters to you. And just for context, when my wife and I were paying off $43,000 of debt in just over a year, we chose the Snowball method, and we didn't even know that the strategy existed back then, just to be very honest with you. But for us, it made a lot of sense. We had 12 loans, and we're like, there was, I think, 4 of them that were under $1,200. So it's like, well, if we got rid of these, then we'd go from 12 loans to 8 loans. And then really where the magic happens, guys, is once we pay off that first loan, all the money that we've been applying to that loan, we just roll into the next one. And that keeps happening over and over and over again until finally it just all your debt's gone, and it's very powerful. So imagine you're paying all these payments, right? And then the $500 is going to credit card one. So now we have $660 going to this payment here. This gets paid off in the 18 months. And now you have $660 just automatically jumping into the next one, which was the car loan. So just automatically getting dumped into this one. And then it's like you keep paying that off. And then it's the $660 plus $85, right? So $765. And you can see how this is just, that's why they call this one the snowball one. And then the avalanche method obviously sounds more intense, right? Because it's just like this huge thing coming down the mountain. So that's just the testing ground. And once you've kind of locked in on a plan, whichever one works for you, not only just strategy, but hey, how much extra am I able to find this money? Once you kind of lock all that in, let's go over to the debt payments tab. And I'm going to make this a little smaller so all this can fit in here. What is happening here? So after you've entered all the information, what I want you to do is just start entering payments. Okay, so let's do the actual data here. And I'm just going to go through this quickly. So credit card 2, we had the $280. So I'm going to say 280 plus the 500, so $780. Great. Credit card 1 was next. So $160 is what we're paying. Car loan, student loan was 85 and 75. Okay. So as you can see, we're making payments of $1,100. And if we do this for a couple months, let's just say we do this for 6 months. And these are the payments that we're making. So we're entering all this data in here. Great. This is just for tracking purposes. And it's just very helpful to kind of see it all visually. And by the way, this goes up to 10 different debts. So if you have more than that, it might be tough to fit everything in here. I just really, I thought 10 would be a good number. So once you add all the payments in here, then we want to go to this debt summary. And this is very cool. It looks kind of intense, but what I want you to do is take this 1 month at a time. So over here, so I've what's called grouping. So there's this big section, and let me undo it. So these plus marks here, we're going to check on it. And now this opens up month 1, which is it's connected to the payment schedule, which is going to be the next month, so February. So it's going to take our starting balance of when we started the file. It's going to look at, okay, what was the actual payment that we made? And based on the interest and all this other stuff, the minimum payment, all this other stuff, it's calculating how much money went to principal and then how much money went to interest, right? So you can kind of see we made $780 worth of payments, but only $505 went to the principal, with our ending balance of $14,495. And this happens through all of them. Now, this tab here has formulas in them, all of them. So don't override any of it. This is just for visual aid, just to kind of help you see how it's progressing through time. So if we open the next month here, March, for example, we now see that, okay, our starting balance is the same ending balance as up here. And then the same thing happens, right? Okay, we make our actual payments here. So this changes in real time. So if I go back to the debt payment calculator, or sorry, the payments, and in March, let's say I don't make this credit card payment, it's going to have this zeroed out now, okay? And here's what happens, right? We didn't make a payment, but there's still interest on the balance. So we actually lost money. We increased the principal by the $150. So our debt actually went up. So it shows you what's actually happening underneath the hood with all of your debt. And the most uncomfortable thing, I'm just going to undo all of it. The most uncomfortable thing is probably looking at it, but also seeing how much money is actually going to the principal. Like when you look at these, like $10, $5, $2, like, oh my God, like what the hell, right? We're putting money towards this, but like no money's going towards the actual principal. And that's why it's so important to apply extra money when possible. So the same thing happens here. Starting balance, we make the payment. Here's how much we go to principal, the interest. Here's our ending balance. We click on the next one, and the same thing goes on and on and on and on and on. Okay, so I just wanted to show you where one of the debts got paid off and then how we can sort of transfer that over. So the first credit card 2 was projected to be paid off in January 2018. And as you can see, we made this is why we have to sort of track it, right? So at December 27, we would have realized, oh, we actually only have $712.45 left in this debt. So we wouldn't want to make a $780 payment. What we'd want to do is make a $712.45 payment in January, right? So we're going to do that, pay special values. And then knowing that, you know, we didn't get exactly to our $1,100, we'd want to put the extra money towards the next debt, right? And then in the following month, what we'd want to do is take the 780 and add it to the 160. So $940 here. And then we still have our 85, we'd still have our 75, right? And we're still putting $1,100 towards our debt, which is really cool. Let's now step forward outside of the numbers a little bit and go to step 6. Hey guys, real quick. First of all, you should be really proud of yourself for making it this far in the operating system. There's only a couple left, so let's keep going, keep building. You got this. If there's something that you've seen so far or something that you're not sure how to do, either drop it below in the comments or you can join Dollar Discipline University. The link is down below, and I'm doing free clarity calls for any new member that joins. We could talk about where you are right now in your finances, where you want to go, and talk about that bridge and how to get there. Enjoy the last couple steps. Welcome into step 6 of the personal finance operating system. This is the 5-minute monthly review, and the whole point of this is to be used every single month to sort of reflect on the month that was, look forward to the month that's about to happen, because we just kind of went through a whole bunch of numbers. The last one we did debt stuff, we did the budget stuff, right? And we did a lot of other things with numbers and things like that. This is more of a reflectionary thought. And it's going to be 10 questions that we go over. And again, the idea is to do this every single month. So again, name, email. This is just so you can get emailed a copy of this for afterwards, today's date. And that way, when you do this and then get the email month after month after month, you can sort of reflect on it and look back on the progress that you made, right? So let's just go through these. Question number one, what was my main focus this past month? Okay, so it's very simple. It's just, what was the main focus? And the idea here is not to have some lengthy paragraph or some book that you're going to write about whatever the thing was. It was just like, what was the main focus? Couple words, maybe a sentence. Okay. Did I follow my plan this month? Yes or no? It's just more of a feel like, here was the plan. Did I reach it? Yes or no? What went well with my money this month? So what we're trying to do is alleviate this like all or nothing feeling where it's like, oh, I didn't hit the main thing that I wanted to do. So that way the month was a failure. I can guarantee you there's still something that went well in your month. Even if you didn't feel like it right now. So this is why it's a good time to reflect. It's like, well, I had a pretty terrible month, but I was actually able to save, XYZ dollars, right? What didn't go as planned? And this, again, this isn't to like, punish yourself or remember some past thing that came up and like really dwell on it. It's more just what happened, what didn't go as planned, because going through life as a human, like all these unexpected things come up. We're very busy, right? So all the commitments and everything, things are going to happen. We have our system building as we're going through this, but things are going to happen. Every system isn't perfect. And again, this is more of a reflection to show that every month is a new opportunity to kind of see what's going on and improve it slightly the next month. Overall, my finances this month felt either on track, tight, or out of control, right? So it's just 3 things that it's just A, B, or C, right? It felt, good, feeling good. Felt, it was a little tight. I didn't really love it, or out of control, meaning like, it didn't go to plan, unfortunately. Compared to last month, my financial progress feels, this is where it's like, well, the month wasn't that great, but it was much better than the month before. So you just say better. And this is like just trying to align ourselves with not always positive thoughts and actions, because that's not realistic. Like sometimes there's going to be negative stuff in there, but it's more just like, is there progress? And how do we link that, again, all the way back to our North Star goals? So better, same, worse. One small thing I'll change next month is, and this could be a positive change, meaning like, hey, I'm going to keep doubling down on the thing that I'm doing. Or it's, I'm going to tweak this thing to hopefully do this. I'm going to tweak it to reduce this, right? There's a lot of ways you can go about this question, but it's just one small thing, because we can't eat an elephant in one sitting. I think that's the saying. I don't know why it's a saying. I don't know why people are eating elephants, right? But if you think about an elephant, it's like that's going to take a long time to eat. And if you think about the personal finance goals that you have, hopefully they're large enough to where it's like, wow, I can't do all this in 1 month, right? Of course not. So we're going to take little bites, little chunks every single month. One behavior I want to repeat. So again, this ties back to an earlier question of like, there has to have been one good thing or multiple good things. So it's like, what's the behavior that you want to do? It's like, well, I finally didn't overspend in X category, or I was able to save money and let's do that again. Or I automated a financial goal. Let's do that again, right? So it's not just like, oh, I didn't save money, I didn't pay off debt. It's no, like I did a thing this month and let's do it again next month. One financial win I'm proud of this month. So now it's like there's got to be something in there. We gotta just briefly describe kind of, hey, what was the financial win? So again, it could be something as simple as like, yeah, I automated a financial goal. I automated money coming from my paycheck and it's going into the savings account thing. And I'm really proud of that because now the system is in place, right? Something like that. It's just a short answer. And then the confidence going into next month, 1 through 10, 1 being no confidence, 10 being all the confidence. How you feeling going into the next month? And again, the whole point is to do this kind of around the same time every month. Beginning of the month, end of the month, whatever, it doesn't matter. And just kind of keep doing that every month to reflect. What I'm really trying to do is like keep the momentum going, the progress, even if there's like a slightly down month. In my experience, people get all excited when they're starting this thing. You already went through the 3-month look back, right? So that could be a little stressful for some people. But then after they do it, it's like, wow, I can't believe I didn't do this. And so you go through all these hard things and you're doing the thing. And it's like 2, 3, 4 months of awesome stuff. Like you're making small progress. And then this massive thing comes up and it completely derails the system. I've seen it so many times. So what this is trying to do is just like, let's just pause for a second and realize that the goal that we're after is bigger than just 1 month of downturn. The other thing I want to do with this is it kind of just like separates our self-worth from progress being made or not made. It doesn't mean that you're bad or good or whatever. It's just a reflection point. And again, the goals we're going after are way bigger than 1 month. So if, I don't want 1 month to be the reason why you don't continue to do the thing. If you think these questions are going to be valuable, let me know, but let's move on to the next step. All right, guys, welcome to step 7 of the personal finance operating system. This is where we're going to start managing our finances from a higher level, and we do that with our net worth. Now, what I don't want net worth to be is, some Instagram thing where you're bragging about all the stuff that you have, or a way to like shame yourself and to think that you're not worth the things that you're worth, okay? This is more of just, where are we? What kind of progress are we making? And this kind of ties back to that last step, the 5-minute monthly review, where it's just, I want to detach ourselves from the month to month sort of ups and downs and really just kind of look at things through a longer lens, because at the end of the day, if you're still watching this, my God, if you're still watching this, your financial goals must be tremendous and you just want to figure this out, right? So imagine stopping, going for the trophy. Imagine not chasing that huge dangling carrot that you've put out in front of you just because of like one bad month or one bad thing that happened. It's not a reflection on who you are or what you did. It's just, we have to keep moving and we just make slight improvements going forward. So that's what this net worth tracker is going to do. Similar to the monthly budget file, we're going to have a bunch of months here, okay? So we're just going to be inputting all of our stuff once a month. That's all it is. So it's like a 5-minute exercise. In case you're not sure, the net worth is calculated by assets minus liabilities. Assets meaning stuff that's valuable that we own. Liabilities meaning stuff where we owe money to other people, right? So basically like value that we own versus value that someone else owns, right? So think about assets through the lens of like cash. So like you're checking your savings account. That's pretty easy to figure out. You just go to your bank account and you just see like, oh, how much money's in there. Investments, so yeah, things like your stocks, any bonds, any whatever, all the stuff that you have, you again go to that account. How much do I have in there? Great, you put that in there. Property can be a little trickier because you can't just really open an app and have a definitive value. So do the best that you can. If you have a home or other real estate or a car that will have value, you can enter that here. And then retirement, I separated it out from investments just to be very clear that I think those are two different things. They can be the same for some people, but I think they're separate, so I like separating them. But again, it's the same thing, going to the account like your IRA or a 401k and just plugging in the number that your account says you have. And then at the bottom here, we're going to be totaling up our assets. So our assets are $477,000, as you can see here. And then we go to the liability side, and this is essentially, again, money that we owe other people. So think car loans, credit cards, personal loans, mortgages, student loans. Maybe you have like a tax liability or something like that. Anything where you owe money to other people is a liability. So things like cars and homes, they could be on both sides, right? Because you could still be paying off a mortgage, but you have some of it, like you own some of it, but you owe some of it. And same with the car. It's like you might be paying it off, but you own some of it and you owe some of it. Entering the numbers to the best of our ability. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. This isn't about getting it down to the penny or the dollar or whatever. It's just like a vibe, a feeling. Because some of the stuff you're not going to be able to control, right? Like some of the I don't know, market movements, like some of it you just can't control always. So like you might have an investments where you're putting money in every month, and then for like 2 months in a row or 5 months in a row, it's just down more than usual or something. And that's not what we're caring about. It's not like, oh my God, I need to sell, I need to get out of this thing. So after the liabilities, we have our total liabilities. And at the bottom here, it's showing us our net worth, okay? And what I've done here is I've just, for visual purposes, not that, good, bad, like I don't want you to like tie your value to the color of this cell here. But if we were to add like a bunch of money in a liability, there we go, it changed. And now your net worth is negative, right? So it's just saying like, hey, just for a visual impact, okay? So what you do is you do that for the first month, and really there's not much to look at after 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, but after you have a couple months worth of data, you're gonna wanna look on this net worth dashboard tab. And as you can see, I've just sort of entered a few. This is just gonna capture all the data that we enter here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see when I stopped sort of entering, I just kind of kept it the same. So in 5, for example, 95. So let's just add, let's just say our home value went up again. Okay, and then month 6, this stayed the same, but our investments went up, right? So now if we go back, this is all happening in real time. The dashboard now look different, right? So it's just showing us this is our net worth, okay? And then this is assets versus liability. So at the end of the day, we obviously want our assets to go up and to the right, and we want our liabilities to go down, right? So this is just showing comparison month over month. Where are the assets, where are the liabilities? And then this is just the total calculation, net worth, assets minus liabilities. I think this is pretty straightforward. I don't want you to get too wrapped up into like the details of it. That's why it's pretty simple. It's just you enter and then you look. And then it's more of just, is the number going in the right direction? If so, great, do more of the stuff that you're doing. If not, we have to reevaluate and see what we're doing. And for me, the reason why I sort of carved out debt in the budget and had its own step here is I do think that sometimes that's just the easiest way to increase your net worth, is to stop owing money to other people. So if you have a ton of non-mortgage debt, I like tossing that aside. I think it's one of the faster ways to grow it faster, and it's just a great way to get feedback. And that's all we're trying to do, is just get a feedback loop. This is how progress becomes visible on a larger scale, looking at the 10,000 foot view. But I hope you like this. Let's go to the next step. All right, welcome into step 8 of the personal finance operating system. If you made it this far, my goodness, you are a beast. You should be so proud of yourself. You've gone through all the trials and the tribulations, as they say, the ups and the downs, the data and the mindset shifts. Now we're gonna go through this resource here that I called What Account to Use When. And the whole thought here is like, where are we in our stage and what problem are we trying to solve? And then what account do we need to put in to solve that problem? The way I see money is there's a couple different thoughts here. There's short term and there's long term. There's stability and then there's build. So there's short term stability, long term stability, short term build, long term build. Okay, those are 4 quadrants. So 4 areas of what we should be doing with our money, how we should be thinking through our money decisions. By the way, none of these are better than another one. It doesn't matter if you're in short-term stability and you're thinking like, oh, I want to be in long-term build. It's not a contest. It's not like one's not better than the other one. It's just analyzing where you are. And after going through all of the steps so far, you have so much context in your habits, what you want to do going forward, your mindset towards everything. Are we making small improvements? Are we not? How do we tweak it, right? So you have an idea of kind of where you're at in here. So I think it's a great exercise to think through. So short-term stability, this is things like your checking account, savings account, a high yield savings account maybe. And the idea here is just like having money safe and available for everyday life, day to day, week to week, maybe emergencies, etc. So I'll give you an example here. Everyone loves the idea of optimizing money. For me, this one is the most important in my personal life with my family. So we have 2 kids, we have a mortgage. So like we really want the idea of short-term stability. So what we've done is we have a buffer in our checking account that is 3 mortgage payments. So basically, 3 mortgage payments is our zero in our checking account. We cannot go below that. It's just a way to have like a buffer. And then we also have a savings account, which has money in it. We also have high yield savings, which has an emergency fund in it. We have a lot of money just in this bucket. We have a lot of money in it. Someone could look in our accounts and be like, you guys are not optimizing your money at all. You could be putting your money in this account and getting, a couple percent points more or whatever. And it's like, that's great. For me, short-term stability is the foundation. Everyone wants to jump to the long-term building, and I call it like kind of think about like a building, right? You have a few floors and the top is this penthouse suite with a balcony and it overviews a beautiful thing, right? We all want to jump to that penthouse suite before we build the foundation of the building. So this to me is just the foundation of the building. So if your foundation is built on like straw, then it's not going to hold up well. But if you have this concrete, solid foundation, here's another analogy. I'm going to give you another analogy. If you were to, I don't know, try to rob a bank or something like that, you're a criminal, right? Banks have probably, I would imagine, based on the movies that I've seen, they have a lot of safeguards in the way of like a criminal being able to go into their thing and steal their prized possessions, the money, whatever it is, right? So maybe there's like a vault, okay? And then that vault opens a long hallway, and in that long hallway is like an armed guard or something. And then the next thing is like a laser room or something. And then the next room is another vault. And right, I don't know. There's like all these like checkpoints. For me, in my personal life, there would have to be a very, very, very smart and crazy, we'll call it criminal, to be able to disrupt my short-term stability, because I have so many things here that are just, our foundation is very strong. So that's first and foremost. Let's go to long-term stability. Now, I think for long-term stability and long-term build, I think maybe you can make the argument of swapping some of them or whatever. This is just what I think. So long-term stability, I said health savings account and retirement accounts. And I think a lot of people would scoff at this one here, the retirement accounts. Like long-term stability, this is absolutely a long-term build. But I think when people think about retirement, and let me know if I'm wrong, when people think about retirement, they want the idea of stability. They're saving so that they can have a stable financial life in the future, right? That's how I'm seeing through it. The health savings account seems stable as we get older. Maybe there's more health things, and like the HSA accounts, they do have some tax benefits, whatever. And the retirement accounts, so think like a IRA, 401k, etc. We're growing a thing so that we can be financially stable. That's how I'm thinking about this. Short-term build. So I have things in here like the 529 education savings, which if you're not sure, it's education savings for children where you can put money in an account and there's tax advantages or whatever to have it grow, and you can use it for education purposes down the line. And then a brokerage account, goal-based. So what I mean by that is not necessarily like a super long-term brokerage thing. So like, for example, my wife and I, we have an account where anytime we have extra money, we just toss it in this account, and we're not really sure what we're going to do with it necessarily, but it's not for like our retirement necessarily. It's just kind of like, hey, the next thing that comes up in our life, like something we want to do or whatever. So if I scroll down here, the short-term build, grow money for specific shorter term goals while managing risk, right? So that's the big part of it too. None of this is guaranteed at all. Like when you invest in something or put money towards something, we could lose it all. That nothing's guaranteed, right? So those are the two that I have there. And then long-term build, I have just brokerage account, but for wealth building. So basically creating an account to grow wealth steadily over time through investments. There's of course risk involved here, but it's ideal for long-term investing, building net worth, focusing on growth rather than liquidity. So like this should not be the bucket that we go to first, long-term build, especially if we're telling ourselves, oh, this is for retirement. But then when something gets tight, we look to that account, be like, ooh, can I pull money from this account to help me in this situation? We've missed the point there if that's the goal. So the way I see it is we go short-term stability, long-term stability, short-term build, long-term build. So it's kind of like here, down to here, over here. That's just how I'm thinking about it. I do think that this is a great topic for discussion because I think there could be some nuance here, and I don't think it's necessarily quote the right answer. But you'll notice maybe when you saw this step, you're like, oh, great, I'm going to get the tactics on which very specific account. Like you'll notice I didn't say, hey, go do a Roth IRA. Hey, make sure you go, do a 401k if you have a job. Hey, make sure to, invest in this specific stock or index fund to grow your wealth. You'll notice that I didn't say any of that because this step is not, hey, what's the specific thing I need to do? It's what's the problem that I'm trying to solve with my money right now? And then what are the types of accounts that I need to be able to get there? Anyway, I hope you found that valuable. We're almost done, guys. Step 9's coming up next. Welcome into step 9 of the personal finance operating system. This is what I call money on autopilot. The reason why I included this here after all the things that we've already done is, again, life is hard, so I don't want us to forget about our financial goals. So the whole point of this is we want to start automating our accounts based on which quadrant we are currently in, based on the last step, right? What account to use when. And now it's like, okay, but now we gotta automate that forward, and we have to just take it off our plate. We have to reduce a decision that we'd have to make every single month. Imagine going through every single month and having to remember to pay a debt, to save money, to invest in, grow our money, to save for a child's education. Imagine if we had to do all of those things every month and remember it and not forget. I mean, it's really hard. So that's why we have to automate it. And I like the phrase that it's called paying yourself first, which essentially, we can link this to all of our North Star goals, by the way, not just automating financial goals, but it's just we get paid and then we shove money to a thing that we care about. So in this case, we'll call it a financial goal because we're going to be talking about automating those in a second. And it's also reducing the amount of motivation that we need, right? Because if we had to keep doing a thing based on motivation or how we were feeling, like we would never be able to keep up with the thing. But if we just do the thing once, we set it, we forget it, it's in the back of our mind, like, okay, this is happening, but we don't have to make that decision anymore. We don't have to rely on being motivated to go on our computer and pay a thing or do a thing or reach a North Star goal, right? So let's just jump right into this. So I have 3 different sections. Really what I want you to do is just start here, get the party started. Let's automate our first financial goal. What do you want to automate first? So we click into the drop down. It's going to give us a bunch of things here. Obviously there's more options than this, but I have emergency fund, debt payoff, kids savings, investing goal, investing wealth, and then other. You could click this and just type something over here for you, right? But let's just say, I want to build up my emergency fund. Okay, great. Where is this money going to come from? Okay, let's click down here. So we have checking, savings, emergency fund, other. Okay, well, we're funding an emergency fund. It's probably not going to come from an emergency fund. Let's say checking account. So this money is going to be coming from our checking account. What account will this money go to? Checking, savings, high yield savings, health savings account, retirement, 529, brokerage accounts, etc. Right? So you can kind of choose what account. So for our emergency fund, if we want to quote optimize it, let's say we're going to put it towards a high yield savings account. Great. How frequently will we be automating money? Daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? So maybe you have connected, maybe at your place of work, you can have 2 accounts or something and you shove money over, you get paid, you take money out of your account and you move it over. So let's just say it's bi-weekly. So basically every time you get paid, money goes into it. Great. How much are you committing to? Well, let's say it's $250 bi-weekly. And then the last question is, okay, is the account fully automated? You could set this up and be like, yeah, I got to do this. So it's like, okay, I'm working on it. And then, okay, great. It's set up. I think it's going to work. And then once it comes out and it works, it's like, oh, the first automated contribution has happened. So as you can see, that was a super simple process to go through, right? It was just like, what do I want to automate? Where's the money coming from? What account? What kind of account? Again, if we're going back to here, what account to use when? So what am I trying to accomplish and what account should I be using? How frequently am I going to be doing this? And then what are you committing to dollar-wise, okay? And then you could do it like, oh, wow, that was easy. So I don't want you to be overwhelmed and tell you, oh my God, you have to automate all your financial goals this weekend or else you're going to do XYZ, whatever. We're just trying to build momentum here. And that's why I called number 2 the momentum builder. So why stop at 1? Right? And you can go through this thing here, do all of these, and then I have here for the obsessed. So it's like, boom, if you want to keep going with this, and if you wanted to really keep going, you could just like copy paste this. If you really like this idea of like just keeping yourself accountable, and you could just keep pasting that over. The more that we automate the things that we care about, the less we have to think about it, the less we'll forget, and the more progress that we will make. I hope this helps you. I'll see you in the last step. Welcome into step 10 of the personal finance operating system. This is technically the last step in the system. So if you made it this far, golf clap. I was going to do it louder, but I don't want to hurt your eardrums. Okay. This is the financial pulse check. And you're like, huh? Wait, I thought we did that in step 0. You are correct. We did this in step 0. This final step is to see the progress that we made throughout this whole system. It's the same exact questions. There's one extra question, but it's the same exact question. And then what I want you to do is don't cheat. Don't go back to your step 0. Don't cheat. We want to see the progress that we made from before we started to now. And if you remember those questions, they had nothing to do with numbers or anything like that. It was just kind of like how you're feeling with your finances. And before we get into the questions, while this is the last step in the system, this is not the end. I want you to think about this as like more of a looping thing that we're kind of going back into the system. It's like, okay, we went through this whole entire process. Now, obviously, you're not going to be doing, you're not going to be going back. You're not going to be doing the 3-month look back again. You're not going to be like setting up a bunch of this stuff again. But it's more just like a big like flywheel, if you will, where it's like we start, we come back around, and then we're doing the pulse check again. And then on a monthly basis, what we talked about a few steps ago was this 5-minute monthly review. And this will kind of go in place of the financial pulse check. Like this will be your financial pulse check going forward. The purpose of this is just like, hey, how much progress have I made going through this entire thing? So same thing, name, email, you're going to get emailed a copy of this. How clear are you now about where your money is going? How would you now describe your current money system? Again, 1 to 10, 1 being no real system, 10 is fully dialed and automated. How much financial stress do you feel now? 1, constant stress, 10, almost none. How aligned does your money feel with what matters most to you? 1, not aligned at all, 10, fully aligned. How confident are you that you'll hit your biggest financial goal in the next 12 months? 1 equals not confident, 10 equals extremely confident. What was the biggest change you felt, finances or mindset, after going through the personal finance operating system? So this is just, it doesn't have to be a super long thing. It could just be a quick answer, but like, what was the biggest change you felt? It could be a number. It could be a mindset. It could be, just having the foundation and the system, wherever you think it goes, right? Wherever you think that answer is. And then, what do you feel like you still need help with moving forward? So you've just gone through this massive transformation. Congratulations again. You should be so proud. The amount of people that will get to this step, you'd be surprised. It's not going to be that many. So now that you've gotten here, it's like, okay, what do you feel like you still need help with going forward? And this is just a way to sort of reflect for you. And then, like I said, it's kind of a loop, right? So it's like, what do I need help with going forward? And it's like, when we kind of re-loop and rethink about all the things like, oh, the North Star goals, are those good? Oh, the monthly budget, how's the debt thing, the net worth? When we go through it again, we can kind of think about the things that we think we need help with and kind of continue moving forward with those. So we just went through so many things, guys. There was technically 11 steps, but it doesn't stop here. If you're somehow still watching this video, you got to come check out the Community Dollar Discipline University. What I've went through is literally the entire operating system. I didn't hold anything back in this video. It's probably very, very long at this point. But inside the community, join. The same thing is in here. You'll be in a community with hundreds of other people that are on the same journey as you. And make sure to, reach out to me, say hello, and we could jump on a call if you're looking for a little more clarity, a little more help, anything like that. And I'd love to be able to customize this operating system for you. So let me know if you found value. I hope to see you inside the community, and I hope that your money systems are now way better than what they were when they started.